Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. I'm just sitting here in my robe drinking my morning coffee looking sexy as hell as usual. And for those of you who tell me in the comments when I make these robe videos that you don't think I'm sexy as hell, nobody cares what you think. I didn't ask you shit. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot. Alright, someone sent me a message yesterday asking me for my thoughts on touch and go deadlifting. And that's something I want to briefly address upon because I personally think that touch and go deadlifting is dangerous, and I don't think it's the best path for any particular goal. People deadlift for one of two reasons. You're either deadlifting to improve your overall power and explosiveness, and oftentimes to increase your actual deadlift for your 1 rep max, or you are doing it as a hypertrophy exercise for the entire back, the posterior chain, things like that. The first problem is on a touch and go deadlift, you're not increasing your power and you're not increasing your deadlift particularly well, because the first rep, yes, you are doing a proper deadlift. You're pulling from the floor, you're in the right position, you're exploding from a dead stop. Because the deadlift requires you to produce a huge amount of explosive power in the first ½ inch, or the bar won't actually move. You won't break it off the floor. But when you're doing touch and go, you're losing that explosive power required to move it off the floor. So you're actually recruiting less muscle fibers, less motor units out of the bottom. So it's not nearly as explosive. Two, you're using a completely different form and a different bar path than you use on the first rep. So those additional reps are not going to carry over into training the technique, and it's not even going to train the muscles in the appropriate order and pattern that you would need in order to execute a proper deadlift. So it's not particularly good for that. And then we come to hypertrophy, and generally for hypertrophy you're going to be doing reps with deadlifts, whether it's 5 reps or 8 reps or 10 reps. You're doing it to create a total workload. Well, here's the problem. When you're doing the touch and go and you're doing any sort of rep work on deadlifts, as you get fatigued on a big, heavy movement like this, your form starts to degrade. And particularly touch and go, it's very easy to get out of your track. It's very easy to not get yourself set correctly. So if you're going to do reps for the deadlift, you still need to do just like you're doing for power. You need to stop, pause, reset your hips and back and everything, and pull correctly to reduce your chance of injury. Because as you get fatigued and your form gets sloppier, that is how you injure yourself most easily on a deadlift. That's how you damage your back or hurt yourself in some way. So for people who are trying to create just continual tension for their hamstrings, whole posterior chain, lower back, traps, lats, things like that, I would recommend instead, if you don't want to do proper deadlifting, to switch to something like a Romanian deadlift, which in my opinion, for just straight hypertrophy of a lot of those muscles, because you have more continual tension, if you're wanting to do rep work with it and you want to create a myostatic reflex out of the bottom, the Romanian deadlift is a far better choice for that, and it's much, much safer because you're not as concerned with form degradations and injuries from it because of the nature of the lifts. So I think that if you want to do higher reps, meaning something over about 3 reps, for the purposes of just inducing workload and hypertrophy, I think the Romanian deadlift is a far safer and more effective choice for this particular goal than trying to do a touch and go deadlift, or even a deadlift for higher reps done correctly, because you have less risk of form degradation and injury. All right, guys, so that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you next time.